Good day, everyone. Welcome to the week two of our research talk in Practical Research 1, sponsored by Beyond Books Publication. Before we start, here are some house rules. First, do not share the Google Meet code. Moderators will be validating the email of the participants. Second, use the same email address that you registered with us. If you will use a different email address, inform us immediately. Third, please mute your microphone during the webinar proper and turn it on during the forum if you have question. Be polite and please do not interrupt. If you wish to speak or have any points or motion, raise your hand. The facilitator or a host will recognize you and allow you to speak. You may also use the chat box. Number 4, be prepared for technical difficulties. In case of technical difficulties, leave the meeting and join the meeting again. Pip, we are live both in our YouTube channel, Beyond Books Publication TV, and Facebook page, Beyond Books Publication. Subscribe and follow to be updated in our research talk. 3 I's or investigation, inquiry, investigation, immersion every Wednesday, and practical research 1 every Friday. Feel free to share it to your friends and colleagues as well. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to email or contact us. You may contact us at Beyond Books Publication FB page. Or you may also call index 0933 556 4886 or 0945 613 0709. You may email us at beyondbookspublication2018@gmail.com. So welcome. So you may use the chat box to the participants. So you may state your location, where you from. So we have participants here who are teachers and students in different parts of the country. Okay. So before we start our webinar proper, so first let us have a prayer and makabayan song through a audiovisual presentation.
Ay Pilipino, ang dugo'y mahalaga. Likas sa aking puso, pag ika'y handa. Sa Pilipinas na aking bayan, landay na perlas ng silanganan. Wari na dito ang kayamanan ng may kapal. Ika'y sa aking talino, sa mabuting daan. Sa ikatutuko ang maging mapapal. Ako ay Pilipino, ako ay Pilipino, isang sa isang diwa ang hihimik ko. Sa bahay mo ang dila, saan buhay kong diwa. Ako ay Pilipino, Pilipino todo. Ako ay Pilipino, ako ay Pilipino, kahit noon, kahit kanino, ang Pilipino ay ako.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
All right. Again, welcome to the week 2 of our research talk in Practical Research 1. So, there's process and ethics of research and quantitative research, and as well as qualitative research. So before we start, may we have a message from a faculty member from Dr. Pablito B. Memorial Senior High School. Let us welcome Dr. Teresita G. Calapis.
Good evening. I think si Dr. Calapis po is not around dahil po siya po ay nag-chat po sa akin at parang busy pa po yata siya sa school. Anyway, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat, sa lahat po ng participants, sa lahat po ng mga students and teachers po na narito ngayon sa ating session for this evening. So ngayon pa lang po ay kino-congratulate ko na in advance si Ma'am Maria Yvette sa kanyang ibabahagi sa gabing ito. Gayon din, in advance, kino-congratulate ko na rin si Sir JM para sa kanyang pagpa-facilitate na for this evening. At mga sessions natin ay marami po tayong mapupulot ngayong gabi na sabi nga natin ay baon-baon natin, magagamit natin para po sa pagsusulat ng isang makabuluhang research. No? Kahit po sa mga teachers na narito ngayon ay magagamit din po natin lahat ng mga impormasyon na ating maririnig sa pagbabahagi, hindi lamang ngayong gabi, hindi lamang ng mga nakaraang session, kundi sa mga darating pa po mga session, ay nawa makatulong ang lahat ng ito, no, na ginagawa ng ating grupo, of course sa pangunguna ng ating CEO na si Dr. Leonilo, no, na nawa ang lahat ng ito ay makatulong sa atin upang tayo po ay makagawa, no, ng isang makabuluhang research. So once again, so let's enjoy the session. Tayo po ay ano lang, sabi nga, concentrate, makinig, at marami po tayong mapupulot, no, na mga impormasyon na magagamit po natin. So once again, welcome po, no, sa ating lahat, and good evening po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Riel Santiago. So si Dr. or si Sir Rio, mas gusto niya tawagin siyang Sir Rio, siya isa rin sa ating mga lecturers dito sa ating research talk series. So last Wednesday, nag-talk siya sa 3 Eyes. Okay? So meron tayong mga participants from Dr. Pablito B. Mendoza Senior High School sa Malamig, Bostos, Bulacan. So meron din tayong mga participants from Santa Monica High School, Gordon Heights National High School, and other schools from Bulacan. So may naglagay dito ng section niya, grade 11 na kasya. So welcome. So we also have participants from De La Salle University. So thank you very much for attending this session. Yes po. Acknowledge po. Okay. Thank you very much. So it is my honor and pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's session. She is a current faculty member from De La Salle University Integrated School, Laguna Campus. She earned different certificates for online courses subsidized by different universities through DOST, Coursera. Here are some of her certificates from the University of Colorado for research, management, and leadership training. From University of North Texas for research design, inquiry, and discovery. From the University of Michigan for Beyond the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, addressing sustainability and development. From University of Copenhagen for the Sustainable Development Goals, a transdisciplinary vision for the future. She earned her master's degree in education at De La Salle University, Manila. At present, she is a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Education in Educational Administration at Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. So let us welcome our resource speaker. Let's have Miss Maria Yvette. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Okay, Sir GM, is it already my turn?
Yes, you may now start presenting your presentation, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Sir GM. Okay, good evening, everyone. As mentioned, this is a research talks for practical research. For practical research one, we are already on the second week of this program. For the first, we will be discussing this session the module number one, which is for the importance of research in our daily lives, and module number two, characteristics, procedures, and ethics of research. And then for module number three, we will not be dwelling so much on this since this was discussed already um, previously by Sir Irwin. Okay, so let me share my slide. Okay, so as mentioned by Sir JM, I hope you can hear me well. As mentioned by Sir JM, um, this is my the topic that I will be sharing to you. As I've mentioned, okay, so okay. I just like to add something about my about me as a faculty. I graduated or I earned my BS degree at Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila way back in 1999. I know the students present here has not been born yet during this time, 1997. And then I earned my MED at De La Salle University in Sciences, and then currently I'm writing my dissertation. For my background, I taught in different schools, um, from St. Anthony, from JRU, from Don Bosco, from St. Mary's. St. Mary's Academy, 11 years, Don Bosco, 6 years, St. Anthony, 1 year, JRU, 1 year. Currently in De La Salle, this is already my 6 year there. I am called as Yvette or Yvette. That's how they actually called me. And then with regard to the subjects that I started handling since then, since my teaching career, general sciences, chemistry, biophysics, robotics, STEM, STEM research, earth and space, and then environmental science. So with all the almost 24 years in the academic um, in the academe, I can actually relay so much about my life, the way how I teach, the way how I relate with other people. I'd like to emphasize on this different subjects because this is how we are. This is where I am going to dwell on my discussion or lecture for today. Okay. Um, for practical research one, why do we actually need to conduct research? Um, why is it important? Um, is it important to conduct research? Definitely, number one reason for students, it's a school requirement. You cannot do anything about this. It's a school requirement. Okay, and then school requirement, you started with junior high school research, and then now in senior high school research. Even teachers present here. So it's actually job related um, as a teacher and a researcher. Okay, so in when we do or when we in the process of conducting research, there are actually skills that needs to be developed or at the back of our mind, maybe we are not aware of that, but definitely we are actually learning something. As we go through the research process, we don't know that we are actually learning something. But on the part of the teacher, we need to develop skills among the students. What are these skills? Definitely problem solving skills, become lifelong, for the students to become lifelong learners. First is, of course, we need to sharpen creativity skills of the students. And in doing a research, we actually we find ways to solve and offer solution to a problem. This is we consider an alternative thinking. And then social skills and values are actually also being developed. Um, there are certain instances wherein students cannot even start writing their own research, even teachers, if they are not actually motivated. What we need is a motivation and an inspiration in order to do and to start something that is beneficial for the others. So when we are talking of motivation for students by the teachers in this particular slide, what do I mean with this? Um, we need, as teachers, we need to motivate our students. We need to give or provide opportunity for them to demonstrate the different knowledge, the skills, and emotional dispositions, and through self-directed, and actually, they can actually learn different. We can give them a lot of opportunities, and then while doing so, we provide an opportunity for these students. We actually guide them as teachers. We need to guide them, and then of course, after senior high school, we prepare our students for higher learning environment, which is during their college life and then even their postgraduate studies. So these students, as early as the junior high school, they are actually being prepared in order to face these challenges as long as they are in the academy and even in the workplace. Even teachers in the workplace, they need to do a lot of research. Okay, so we need a lot of motivation. So based from the learning competence, um, we need the learner shares research experiences as you go through the process, grade 11 and then grade 12. As you go through the process, at the end of this, you have to share your research experiences and knowledge. You have to explain the importance of research in your daily life. No matter how difficult your research may be, I know you can work on it, and then you can even relate it in your daily life. And then um, you can also the learner should also be provided, or you may even provide examples of research in different areas of your interest. So in the Department of Education, um, there must be a reason why they were able to come up with these learning competencies. And then as teachers, we need to abide by this. This becomes our basis of teaching the students. And for the students, we are actually expected to manifest this kind of skills. Okay, so in why do we actually conduct research? It can be for self gratification. It has something to do with um, the way how we contribute to our institution and to our country. Or it can even be from the focus of your research, it can be from the country, your help to the institution, and before yourself. So others are actually thinking, I'll do this first because of being a loyal Filip, being a Filipino. After graduating college, after having my job, I'd like to stay here in the Philippines and serve the Philippines. So for the country, for the institution, for the teachers, or even for the students alike, they may say na after I earn my degree, I'll teach, and then I'll teach in the school where I graduated. So that is something um, very uh, that's something different. So when we conduct research, we think of these three aspects. We serve for our country, we serve for our institution, and for ourselves. So when we say for the country, why do we need to do research for the benefit of our country? We need to address pressing national problems like the pandemic, vaccine. We need to come up with a vaccine. It, it shouldn't take 10 years before we can come up with before we can have this kind of vaccine. So in doing research, we need to scientists from all over the world. Philippines participated in the test or in in researches. Even for food and agriculture, we need to do a lot of research in this. Traffic infrastructure. I told you a while ago in the previous slides that we have to um, solve. We need to find ways in order to solve problems or issues that we have. So we conduct research because of we need to address certain situations. For example, climate change. The environment that we have now is very much different, and then we really feel the we really feel that there is something different. Okay, we also do research because of competitiveness, transportation, and economic security. We have to deal with this. Okay, so when we are only do we also do research for the benefit of our school and for our institution. When we do research for teachers here, when we do research, we also need to consider the vision and mission of our school. That's our guiding principle. And then for our institution, others would say it's a sort of a prestige. In private schools, there are accreditations. I just don't know if there are accreditation process in the government. For teachers who do researches, they are actually there are certain grants that are being offered, and then it is also a sort of a community service as well. And then when we say we benefit out of it, for example, there are times that it's an academic requirement. For the teachers, it's a professional growth. Others would say, this is my passion, this is my interest. And as well as community service. Being with Beyond Books publication is very important. Meeting a lot of people, um, doing this is a sort of a community service for us. Um, we started doing this, offering practical research talks to students and teachers as well. Um, because this is a sort of what is the importance of research? Um, I'd like to skip on that because as I've already mentioned, when we talk of the way how we serve our institution, our country, and our community, that's how we see the importance of research. Okay, okay. I'd like to mention about the ethics of research. This is very much this is a something that concerns students and teachers as well in doing researches. Ethical standards are still different. You notice there are certain there are certain in the registration form that you accomplished. If you notice, um, we've included there a phrase regarding of data privacy with regard to collecting information. As I've mentioned, data privacy is another aspect of this topic. Um, what we will be dealing more is on the ethics of research. Um, before I proceed with the presentation, is there any, if you have any question in mind, you may use the chat box to type in your question. And then if I may request, if you are a student, please indicate that you are a student or a faculty, so that I can at least answer when I answer your question. At least I can adjust with regard to your profession or your status as a student or as a faculty. Okay? Okay. when I'd like, before I proceed, I'd like to ask teachers or students as well. Um, how do you actually consider ethics when you conduct your research? I don't like to call names. Maybe you can volunteer. You may click the raise hand button so that I could call you if you have any question or anything that you share, anything that you might like to share with regard to ethical considerations. Anyone? Walang gustong magtanong? Okay. I'd just like to throw this question to the group from the Beyond Books publication members, teachers as well. How do we actually consider ethics in doing research? In what aspect do we consider? Your microphone and share to us your idea. Mag-roll call ba ako sa mga teachers? Have you encountered, did you consider ethical issues when doing your research? Anyone?
Ma'am, ako po.
Yes, sir.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello po, ma'am. Ako personally po, siguro po isa po sa ethical issues na pwedeng i-consider in writing research is yung sa plagiarism. What I mean is, hindi mo pwedeng angkinin ang isang konsepto or for example, yan, ibig sabihin ay ano po, no, you need to address kung sino po yung nagsabi nun kasi hindi mo to pag-aari, no. At least parang sabi nga natin, ito ay pagrespeto natin dun sa originality dun sa taong nagsabi po nung certain concept or theory po na yun.
Yes, that's very true. Thank you, Sir Rio. Yes, plagiarism, owning something, then you consider it as your own. Okay, that's something unethical. And then teachers and even students alike should be very much aware of this. Okay? Anyone else? Meron pa bang gustong mag-share? Meron ba nag-chat? Wala. Okay, sige. I'll continue with the presentation. When we are talking of ethics of research, in doing a research, I am very, me as a teacher, I am very much curious the way how the Department of Education from the region and from the division, how they actually screen researches from faculty and from a school setting, how teachers allow screen review papers or works of students. In our institution, we actually established, there is already established a review ethical review mechanism. In This is a review mechanism. You consider a reviewing body. This is how you come up with a guide for the responsible conduct. It's very important that um, we we abide by the rules. Nothing is actually being hurt. Okay, so that's very important. I'd like to share an experience before I continue. With regard to the use of, alam nyo, this is an experience of a different faculty from our school. Nag-order sila ng mga frogs. to be dissected and to be studied in their work. Nagkataon na yung mga talaka na yon was actually ordered and delivered tapos ready na gagamitin. And then all of a sudden there was a suspension of classes. Yung mga palaka, it was left in naiwan naman siya ng maayos sa pinaglalagyan niya na ready pa ka. Unfortunately, excuse lang ha kung takot kayo sa mga palaka. I'm a science teacher, kaya okay lang ako din sa mga palaka na yan. I can even hold it with my bare hands, except for some na may mga portions. Naiwan yung mga palaka. Others, yung iba, masyadong nasikatan ng araw, yung iba namatay kasi ang dami nila sa lalagyan, na-suffocate sila. And then, alam niyo ba, nalaman yun at nakarating sa kataas-taasan na bakit pinabayaan yung mga palaka. And then the teacher, the lab technician were held accountable. Nagkaroon pa ng investigation kung paano namatay yung mga palaka. Imagine kung sasabihin, ang ganun ba dapat how do you call this? Ganun ba dapat pahalagahan? Of course, ganun dapat pahalagahan ang lahat ng may buhay, especially yung mga ganyan na sinasubject into research studies. And even for humans, lalong-lalong hindi mo pwedeng diretsang of administering, for example, yung present issue, national government, and even countries as well. They are actually experiencing issues about vaccination, inoculation of the population. So may mga issues why other countries don't prefer a certain type of vaccine. May mga countries prefer. I don't. What I am actually saying here is not the views of the members of Beyond Books publication. This is myself. This is my on my own. This is my own views, my opinion. With regard to the vaccines. So with regard to the ethics of research, syempre madalian natin kailangan ang vaccine. But it doesn't say na we accept what is available. Syempre, merong mga kaukulang mga studies dyan. That's why there are certain vaccines na sasabihin, this may not be safe to the elderly. So merong age range pwedeng gamitin yung ganitong vaccine. But for some other manufacturers of this vaccine, ito pwedeng ganito to. So with regard to the ethics, going back to the ethics of research, they did drug companies, these scientists, pinag-aralan nilang mabuti yan. Hindi naman basta-basta pwedeng i-inject yan sa isang tao basis ng walang background that it is actually safe. Diba? So, I'm not actually encouraging others na yung mga ayaw magpa-vaccine na kayo or whatsoever. No. What I am actually saying is when we consider ethics of research, these companies definitely abide by the principles and the ethics of conducting these studies. Okay? Meron bang mga reactions and comments dun sa nabanggit ko? And then I'll continue. Okay. So, in the school setting, students, this is very important. When you conduct your research, hindi basta-basta pwedeng, that's why you have your advisors, meron kayong mga advisors that will actually that will actually look into your research studies. With regard to the teachers, there is also a governing body that would actually look into their research also. If you are a teacher, I know that Ed screens the researches of the teachers. For students, meron din silang tinatawag na screening committee, screening body. So that's why it's very important to establish an ethical review mechanism. Someone or a group of experts that can actually review the way how you are going to study something before you be given an approval that you can continue on it. Diba? So um, in an ethical review mechanism, there are certain ways na pwedeng it's a sort of or a principle that is responsible for the conduct of the research. For example, research ethics, um, formulation of research ethics committee. Okay, that's very important. So, pag merong mga ethics committee, this definitely their work is something to do with the ethical review of faculty researchers or student researchers. So this is still, I think, would be different from the research committee composed of teachers reviewing students' work. Okay, so that's these two are different. Okay? So as I've mentioned, they are actually on a review process, di ba? Ang daming pinagdadaanan ng research mo bago ma-approve. And for teachers who are actually um, looking for grants, di ba? So ang daming process na pagdadaanan. The same thing with the students. Okay? So when we consider ethical review mechanism, this is very important, especially involving human participants, involving animals, wildlife, microorganisms, especially if it's infectious. The use or which involves toxic chemicals. Internet research is also um, is also under the big umbrella of an ethical review. And then community research. When we say community research, hindi ka basta-basta pwedeng pumunta sa isang indigenous peoples group tapos magkakandak ka ng research doon without certification being issued by the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples. So hindi basta-basta pwede. On the part of the students, kayo ba, usually during this time, online, certain students cannot go from different companies, go to different schools, and have somebody to answer or participate in their researches, di ba? Merong ganon, hindi sila basta-basta, lalo na ngayon, bawal lumabas. So, hindi talaga pwede. So, what are actually the things that these people, these students and researchers are actually doing right now? What they do is they conduct a survey, di ba? Nagkakandak sila ng survey. For example, um, may kinonsider na ba kayo na for the students, I'd like to ask, meron na ba kayong mga researches that you considered subjecting, let's say, animals, use of chemicals, or even human participants in your research? Meron na ba kayong mga ginawang ganyang klase ng researches na in-involve nyo itong mga nasa slides na to? Meron na ba kayong mga ginawang researches that involves these um, categories? Meron na ba? For the teachers, meron na ba? Meron ba kayong mga researches na you use um, this, uh, you apply this category? Siguro, no? Kasi sa bagay, other researches of teachers, something to do with with the curriculum instruction, methodologies, but that still involves human participants. When we consider human participants, we are actually considering their welfare, diba? We consider the welfare of the participants. Hindi ba sila malalagay sa alanganin kapag sinubject mo sila or you consider them as the subject of your research, diba? So, data privacy issues comes along with ethical issues. So, if these two bodies are different, pero they work work side by side. Kasi parang hindi mo pwedeng alisin yung data privacy issues with ethical issues, ethical concerns. Okay? So, we actually, when do we say we ask for a certain consent? When do we say that we need consent from our respondents? Okay, may I kindly or please ask teachers, how do you of course teachers would really very know. Because of the teachers, I believe that students are very much aware of this process. So why do we need to ask for an informed consent? We need to ask consent. Example, yung respondents mo are minors. You cannot just easily ask them to answer your survey questionnaire. You have to ask consent. First is from their parents. And even if the parents agreed, you still need to ask the respondent themselves kung payag ba sila na sila yung gamitin mo as the subject for your research. For example, for interviews, tapos kukunan mo sila ng videos. Di ba? In television, minsan naka-blur yung mukha nila for their anonymous, ayaw nilang humarap sa camera. So, there is a consent from an individual before you can do something. So, all research projects require some form of ethics review to ensure that research conducted complies with existing ethical standards and requirements. That's very much important. Very, very important. Okay? Ethics review actually helps the safety and respect of those involved and those who might be affected by the research activities. Diba? That's very important kasi it actually helps you are actually safeguarding your respondents. That's why we are also considerate with regard to their safety as well as respect for them. That's why we are very much careful about this matter. Okay? Ethics, the committee, for example, there is already an existing committee. When they provide mechanism, it addresses issues and respond to unfavorable events related to the safety in the approved studies. Diba? For example, use of infectious microorganisms. Paano kung in a certain laboratory natapon yung specimen mo? Toxic pala yon. So, paano na yon? Di ba? There are a lot of movies. Di ba may mga movies na um, they make use of these microorganisms in their lab, tapos nagkaroon ng problem, and then it mutated, di ba? Yung mga ganon. So, those are the things that needs to be avoided also. Okay? And then, teachers, for example, applying for grants for their research, some grant agencies or donors require institutional ethical clearance before releasing funds. Siyempre, pupondohan ng isang private organization, private company yung research mo. No? Dapat dapat yung research, dapat may ethical clearance that you pass this certain standards, diba? That's very important. Okay? Another thing is some national and international scholarly journals also require institutional ethical clearance before accepting a research paper for publication. Alam na alam ng mga teachers natin yan. So that's very important. Again, some national and international scholarly journals require institutional ethical clearance also, aside from aside from grant agencies and donors. They require ethical clearance before the publication of the paper. And then others also, some national and international scholarly, as I've mentioned, bago mo ma-publish sa kanila yung, bago nila i-publish yung paper mo, kailangan dumaan yan sa masusing, sa masusing, some, what do you call that sa Tagalog? Anyway. Okay. So, dito sa chat box natin, merong mga nakasulat dito. May mga questions siguro from certain students na naglalagay ng name nila and school in the chat box. Baka meron silang question later. Okay. So, we have 20 minutes left in the presentation. Last few slides. For example, to administer questionnaires or survey online in order to exactly easily reach participants, di ba? May instance ngayon that you cannot go outside of your um how do we need to gain consent from our respondents so pwedeng pwedeng di ba usually sa Facebook nagpo-post na lang dyan ng mga survey questionnaires for example you'd like to have data. You want to administer questionnaire or survey online in order to easily reach participants. Transmitting soft copies of survey and questionnaire via email is very important. It's recommended that participants assign the consent. So, may mga consent din dapat yan. And then once they sign the consent that they are going to participate in the study, then they can proceed. Okay? So, for example, collecting data from a public database. These few slides are based from the research ethics office of our institution. So, how if we are going to collect data from public database, for example, in Twitter, Facebook, and other social networking sites? You still need to gain consent from the user. Users by default, when they post public content and have to configure their account to make their post private, di ba? Di ba when you post something sa Facebook, for example, or in any social media networking sites, di ba? Pwede mo siyang i-private, pwede mong i-public. Pero kapag ka naka-public yung iyong post, tapos ginamit yan for certain research, hindi ka na pwedeng, kung gusto mong gamitin yan sa research, you may not actually ask consent from the user kasi pinost na yun publicly. If posts are considered public by content providers, researchers can either gather the data from their friends, diba? And from all public profiles. Yeah. So, pinost mo yan, you were considered as a subject for or a respondent for your research. That's already in a public domain. So, there are times that you don't need to consider a a consent. Okay, so as I've mentioned, these few slides here has some I lifted this from the, re- the research ethics office of our school. Yeah. So I have 17 minutes left or 15 minutes left if we have questions. Thank you for our participants. If you have any question, you may now um, we may now proceed with the question and answer portion. If you have some questions or clarifications. Thank you for listening. Meron ba kayong natutunan sa aking shinare? Nakakalungkot pag walang natutunan. What about the students? I hope teachers as well learn something. Ma'am Myra, Sir JM, can we proceed with the question and answer? If um, teachers, you may want to ask or clarify something, you may unmute your microphones. Pagka teachers ang mga audience, medyo nakakakaba. Sana masagot ko yung mga itatanong niyo. Time is it? Okay? So, okay, may question tayo. Other research that don't need ethical validation. Um, as I've mentioned, if for example yung research nyo, pero ano the first question that you need to ask is or consider is sino muna yung mga inyong subject for sino muna yung subject for the conduct of your research. Sino muna, di ba? The question here is, are there researches that doesn't need ethical validation? Number one, it's actually a requirement. Siguro kasi ang mga students, sa mga student researches, kapag hindi naman full-blown research yung kanilang mga mga papers or studies. Oh, by the way, Elijah, Luis, Tanay, may I ask if you are a student or a teacher? Oh, a teacher. Thank you. Oh, okay. So that's the first thing that we, as I've mentioned, that's the first thing that we need to consider. Sino pa po ba muna ang ating mga subject for the research? Kasi yung first-hand data natin, saan ba, i-consider muna natin saan ba manggagaling. Kung saan manggagaling yung mga researches natin, unless mga second-hand information sila that was actually conducted before, and then you will just be referring to the results of the previously conducted studies. Baka pwedeng gagamitin natin yon without directly first hand first-hand subjecting ourselves doon sa ganung klase ng mga limitations, sa mga limitations na kagaya ng sinabi natin na uh, for example involving human participants. Anyway, if mga minor ang mga students natin, definitely their parents need to be consulted for consent um, bago nila i-subject or pumayag na ano. Pagka hindi, wala naman po tayong magagawa if if the adults did not give consent for the minors. I hope I answered. I satisfied your question. Thank you. It's already, what time is it? Yes, Sir Jim. Thank you so much.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ms. Maria Yvette Meniano, for that very insightful, informative, and enlightening discussion about qualitative research and its importance in daily life. So it is true that there are ethical considerations in conducting research. We need to protect the dignity of the participants and respect their privacy. We should also consider proper citation of our references. So remember, there's a saying, honesty is the best policy and integrity is the best behavior. So as researchers, we should maintain those values. So I would like to greet some of our participants from Samar National High School, Philippine Chen Kuang High School in San Juan City, San Matias Senior High School, and Tanawan City Integrated High School. So earlier I checked, there are more than 30 participants watching from YouTube and more than 50 participants watching in our Facebook Live. Okay. So are there any more questions from our participants, teachers, and students? From Bicol University, from Tarlac Agricultural University. So we also have participants from those schools, and from Academia de Maria Elena, English teacher. Okay. So meron pa po ba akong hindi nababanggit na school? From JRMSU Dipolog City. Good evening po sa inyong lahat. So University of Caloocan City. Yan. So maraming naabot ang ating webinar. So I hope in the next sessions to come, we are going to have more participants. So sa mga participants natin tonight, I am encouraging you to share, to like the Facebook page of Beyond Books Publication, and share the upcoming research talks, not only in practical research one, but also in increased investigation and immersion. So marami kayong matututunan sa mga research talk natin. So we have many speakers from different schools, from different parts of the country. So mayroon ding isang nag-message, nurse from Pasig City. So according to her, Cherry Maraya, research plays an important role in our hospital, hoping to be included in your upcoming research webinars. Okay. So thank you very much sa ating mga participants. And congratulations po, Ma'am Maria Yvette Meniano, for a very successful lecture. So now we will proceed to the closing remarks of our CEO and President of Beyond Books Publication, Dr. Leonilo B. Capulso.
So, good evening, everyone. And once again, congratulations to Ma'am Yvette Meniano from the Lasal Integrated School, to Sir GM Obligar, our moderator, to our program chair, Dr. Maria Teresa Calapis and Dr. Rio, and to our technical working group, particularly our IT department who made our Facebook and YouTube live possible, Dr. Myra Flores and Sir Jben Sushun. Thank you very much. To all our participants, please don't tire in supporting this advocacy. We are doing this for you for free. And I hope you continue to be with us in this advocacy. And for some teachers, allow me to share screen, Sir JM. Permission to share screen.
Yes po.
Okay.
So while we are waiting for the presentation of Dr. Capulso, so our evaluation link is now available. So nasa chat box po siya. So students, you may click the evaluation link and answer it later. So I think the evaluation link posted din po kaya in Facebook and YouTube. So our participants watching from FB Live and YouTube can also answer the evaluation link.
Uh, Sir JM, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my apologies. I ran out of battery, so I'm using my cell phone now. Anyway, once again, thank you for all our participants, our moderators, and to all those who made this possible. And before we end, we would like to invite you to also try to patronage our book. Beyond Books Publication has published different books on research that you can use. I'll be showing to you. This is actually for practical research too, but the methods you can still use. And in this book, our speaker, Ma'am Yvette Meniano, is actually one of our writer with other writers who are also in this group. For those who are in the graduate school now, we just published another book, How to Write and Publish Your Thesis. We will have another one for how to publish your dissertation coming this week. Also, to those who would like to publish their research in our international journal, so we just had our international journal of multidisciplinary studies. or iJams, you can publish your action research, your thesis, your dissertation, which you can use for your ranking and promotion and for your professional development. So once again, see you in our next research talks, both in Practical Research 1 and III. Once again, thank you to Sir JM and Ma'am Yvette. And I think this is the right time to recognize now and give certificate to our speaker. Sir JM, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lenny Lacopulso. So, ayun. So, may invitation tayo. If you want to publish your research, so you may contact Beyond Books Publication. So, Mamayra will present the certificate. So let me read the content of the certificates. Research Talk, an initiative of Beyond Books Publication, Macabebe, Pampanga, Philippines. Certificate of Recognition is presented to Dr. Maria Yvette M. Meniano for being the resource speaker during the Beyond Books Publication Research Talks for Practical Research 1 with the theme Research in Daily Lives, Characteristics, Processes, and Ethics in Research and Quantitative and Qualitative Research via Google Meet, given this 26th day of March 2021. Signed, Lenny Lubica Pulso, CEO and President of Beyond Books Publications. Congratulations, Dr. Maria Yvette Meniano. Let us give our resource speaker a virtual round of applause.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
For our announcements, so please join us next time. We are inviting in the next sessions to come in this research talk series on Practical Research 1 and 3 Eyes. On April 9, we're going to have Identifying the Inquiry and Stating the Problem by Dr. Maria Teresita G. Calapis. On April 16, we're going to have the part 2 of Identifying the Inquiry and Stating the Problem with Mr. Herbert M. San Pedro. On April 23, Learning from Others and Reviewing the Literature with Dr. Rex A. Lim. On April 30, we're going to have Learning from Others and Reviewing the Literature, Part 2, with Miss Cherry Garcia. On May 7, we're going to have Qualitative Research Science with Mr. Emilito F. Sarmago. On May 14, we're going to have Sampling Procedure with Mr. Arturo Habarata Patungan Jr. On May 21, we're going to have Data Collection, Data Gathering, Instrument and Analysis with Mr. Jaben P. Lotion. On May 28, we'll have Written Research Methodology with Dr. Marikit M. Obrero. On June 4, we'll be having Finding Answers to Data Collection with Dr. Rovel Carl C. Peralta. On June 11, we're going to have Analyzing the Meaning of the Data and Drawing Conclusions, Part 1, with Dr. Randy R. Gigawi. On June 18, we're going to have Reporting and Sharing the Findings with Dr. Riuhel L. Santiago. And for those are the topics of Practical Research 1, and for 3 Eyes, we'll have on April 5, Reading on Related Topics with Mr. Emil Sarmago. On April 14, we're going to have Understanding Ways to Collect Data with Dr. Romel Car Peralta. On April 21, we're going to have Finding Answers to Research Question with yours truly, Mr. And on April 28, we're going to have reporting, findings, drawing conclusions, and making recommendations with Mr. Jupet T. Pentang. On April 30, we're going to have sharing your research with Mr. Roy, Albert, and Acosta. So napakadami pa nating sessions sa susunod. So I hope yung mga participants natin tonight will still be joining our next episodes of our research talk, and I hope mas dadami pa tayo. So please share this advocacy kasi we are aiming to not only to inform everyone, but we also aiming to inspire our country to strengthen the culture of research. So this is an initiative of Beyond Box Publication headed by our CEO and President, Dr. Leonilo Capulso. All right. So may concern pa ba ang ating mga participants?
Sir JM?
Yes, sir.
Sir, can we have a photo op before we end the session para at least ay meron po tayong picture with the participants na.
Yes po. So I invite everyone to turn on their cameras.
Dr.
Yeah.
Myra?
Sir GM,
Yes po.
also we ask them permission if we can post their pictures in our website.
Yeah. So we are also asking your permission if we may post this screenshot in our website. And
Dr. Myra, kindly take charge. Kung
Dr.
okay lang
Myra,
po.
so sabay tayong mag screenshot
Okay, thank you po.
para we have options here. So yan. So kindly turn on your camera. Our participants, teachers, and students. So ipakita natin na nagkakaisa tayo sa diwa ng research. Yan. So look at the camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Another. Show me your best smile. Yan, dumadami yung nag-o ng camera. Thank you very much po sa inyong lahat. Ayun, dumadami pa. So may mga we are in kita-kita different ages. My teachers, my students. Ayan. Smile po tayo. 1, 2, 3. So may nag-request po ng waki daw. Okay, isang waki. 1, 2, 3. So thank you very much po sa ating mga participants tonight. So meron po bang concern, announcement? So publication. Thank you very much for attending and see you next time. So sana mas